Well, I've come to what I think might be a half-decent hunting location, and there's a lot of shotgun blasts going on. It's Sunday. I'm not quite sure what they're hunting, dove or crow maybe, but this is probably the best area I've seen so far. I don't want to go too much further because I'm getting fairly close to the who's ever hunting, but I just want to kind of show you around. I came across this trail. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it very well, but it kind of winds around a bit, and there's a lot of unbroken spider webs that I'm breaking, so I don't know if people have been through here very recently. The squirrel back in there a little ways. There's lots to eat. There are plenty of acorns all over. A lot of banging around too. I'm not quite sure what's out in that direction. There's a lake and a cement factory and a quarry on the other side. Maybe the sound is carrying, and that's what I'm hearing. But I'm thinking I might want to be in one of these trees out in here somewhere. You know, getting high up. Somewhere out here I think will give me a really good vantage point, because we're on a bit of a hill here. It's actually kind of significant. It takes a bit of effort getting up here. I can't imagine how difficult it's going to be dragging a pack and a tree stand, but it's I'll do what I've got to do to make it happen. You know, since we're on a hill, if I get up a bit higher in a tree, I think I'll be able to see quite a bit. Just kind of walking back through where I came in. Got what looks like lots of options, but you know, being a first-time hunter, I really don't know for sure. Actually, I'm really not quite sure what I'm looking at all. I'm just kind of guessing based on some of the things that I've read online and just kind of some of the stuff that I'm seeing. You know, it's kind of thick up in here. It's kind of quiet. I can't even see the road from here. I can see the lake down and through. Whether or not you'll be able to see it, I really don't know. But I kind of like this location. And actually, this is the furthest I've been able to get into the woods. It took a little bit of digging around, but I found a way in. Here's some of the various things that I'm seeing. Acorns, various nuts. I haven't seen any deer droppings. And I'm seeing some stuff that kind of looks like walnuts, but not really. They have the same green color that walnut has when it still has a husk on it. And I'm not quite sure what it is. I'm looking back through for it. A lot of these red berries too. I don't know whether that's something deer eat, but they're scattered around throughout here. Here's one of those. So I was talking about. It's not green, but same general size and shape. More of those red berries. And going back further towards the top of the hill gets kind of thick. And more unbroken spider webs. Again, I don't know whether that's a good sign or not, but it gives me the impression that nothing has been through here. So I don't know whether that's good or bad, since deer would also break them if they were high enough. I'm breaking a lot, walking through a lot of them, even down at waist height. assorted half-eaten nuts. More spider webs in through here. So it looks like this is the way I came in. But I know the general direction of the road. So as long as I don't fall and start rolling down the hill, I'll be in decent shape. Would really like to see some of those green nuts again. Here's one. I'm not quite sure what this is, but you've got these scattered around in various stages of rot. Some are nice bright green like this. Others are, you know, kind of rotted and brown and look like they've been dead for quite a while. More of those red berries. I'm not seeing them on any trees or anything like that. It's all this low-lying vegetation that they're attached to. More of these nuts. But this is kind of where I think I want to be. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. But I'm going to turn the camera off and see if I can walk back out to the road. Maybe hit up one more spot before I leave. There was an area I wanted to go in when I first got here, but it sounded like I was getting pretty close to a second set of hunters shooting shotgun about half a mile from here. So if they've moved on, I think I'm going to dip back into the woods and see how far I can get. But today's been very encouraging. This is so much better than what I've seen before. I don't know whether it's just bad luck or what, but everything I've chose to look at up until this point has been really thick brush, stuff that I could barely get through. And this is actually quite pleasant being out in this. So if I can set up in this, you know, it's not overly thick. I can get through here in the dark. At least I think I can get through here in the dark. I think I'll be in good shape. Well, I'm about halfway down to the road now, about halfway back down the hill, and I just wanted to kind of stop briefly and just kind of, I don't know, spill what was on my mind. I'm really not seeing any tracks or any deer droppings. One interesting thing I'm seeing here is, looks like something was scraping for food. It's not very big. There's me sliding down the hill a little bit, but just to give you a little bit of a perspective, it's about halfway down the hill. I'm way up, or the last time I turned the camera on, I was back up over that rise there, a little bit further away. Still kind of quiet. It's kind of thick back in here. Still can't see the road. So I don't know whether that's good in terms of a sense of security for the deer, or whether we're still too close proximity-wise, but just kind of thinking out loud as I continue on down this hill. I'm still moving around up here. It looks like I took a wrong turn. I got into some thicker stuff. Need to go back out and around. But as I came down this way, I started seeing things like this. Obviously, it's kind of small to be any sort of bedding area, but something is definitely scraping down the dirt to get to whether it's food or whatever is down here. We've got some more down in here. And it's actually getting quite a bit thicker down through this area of the woods. Well, I made it back out to the road, or the access road. Here's the lake that acts as a border, which I'm not quite sure about. I don't know how close the deer are going to get to a natural border such as water. But way back up in there is where I was walking around. Quite a bit higher than I thought. But I'm actually heading in the wrong direction. I'm planning on turning back and going the other way. However, there's a lot of noise coming from this way, and I'm curious what's down here. So I'm gonna walk down a little bit. The edge of the public land isn't too far down, maybe half a mile at the most, and I'm just kind of curious if there's an entrance down here. If there is, it's really disappointing, because I walked maybe a little over a mile and a half, 2 miles to get in here, And I want to be as far away from the parking lot as I can. My thought being that the further away I am, the less likely someone is to walk in and be in the same general area as I am. So it's kind of the thought process. And yesterday I bumped into 4 people. It was a father and son, what I assume was a father and son, who were, I would imagine, looking for a hunting spot. They weren't really dressed as runners or anything like that. And I did see 2 joggers, a guy with a dog and a woman, but she was up on the other trail. And actually horses come through here too. Let's see. Horse tracks. Actually, you ran into the horse rider on the way in, all the way back at the parking lot. So looks like they'll use this trail as far as it goes. Just curious to see where it goes. Hopefully it doesn't loop around the property and I wind up taking a 10-mile hike. But I'm just going to go up here a little bit further. I think the edge of the lake is right up around this area. It's getting kind of shallow up in here and narrowing out quite a bit. So we'll see where it goes. Stay tuned for any new information if I find it. Well, as you can see, I'm back in civilization, and it's very, very disappointing. I kept walking the direction I was going the last time I had the camera on, and popped out on Route 662 up here. And it definitely explains why I saw people up in this general area. I'm going to have to go back, look at a map, try to get a general idea of how far in I am. Because if I'm within a half a mile, I think I want to go find a new spot altogether. I really don't want to be around. I don't want to be too close to an entrance. Well, I'm still walking along. Just still a little disappointed that I didn't realize that entrance was back there. I went looking for one yesterday after I ran into the jogger. I looped around and was looking around in my car trying to find out if he came in down this way, or whether or not he ran all the way down. It would have been a very long run. And I bumped into him again after I turned around. So obviously he was turning around at some point in the trail. So I had a feeling that he came in down here. And now I know for sure that that's where he came in at. The entrance that I'm walking away from now is actually the most, what looks like the more used entrance of the 2. And it just so happens that where I went into the woods is probably the first easy place to get into the woods from that entry. So I'm not feeling as confident about it right now as I was. I'd still like to be up in that area, but we've got hunters around here somewhere. I keep hearing shots up over the mountain or hill or whatever this is. So I think they're in that general area, and I would imagine they came in from that way. So now I'm going to walk back a bit. At about the halfway point between the 2 entrances is a set of power lines. There's a little access road that runs between the trail that I'm on and one on the other side of this hill. So I think I'm gonna shoot back that access road, see if I can find a way in. As far as distance from the entrance goes, I think that general area is probably my best bet as far as avoiding other hunters goes. It's amazing, all the acreage around this place for hunting, and that, you imagine that one secluded space, and it's just really tough to come by on public land. But it's just one of those challenges you have to face as a hunter on public land, and it's especially interesting for me being a first-time hunter. So it is what it is. Well, I've come to that sort of access road that bridges the 2 trails, and it's like I found kind of an entrance into the woods. Actually, the trail's right down here. I'm not very far off of that main trail, and I'm seeing what I think might be a way into the woods. However, it's really thick down in this way, and there's a lot of this stuff. So I'm thinking it might be a little painful getting in. I tried looking with a set of 10-25 binoculars to see if there was anywhere to go once I got in there, but it's just not looking very promising. but I think I want to be in this thicker area. It's again, it's about halfway between the two entrances, and you know, from the looks of it, anyone that wants to get in here is going to have to put some effort into it. It's not going to be a quick little stroll through the woods. So that's kind of the only real appealing part. Now I just need to find a half decent way of getting in there without getting too cut up. And I gotta find a way in that allows me to get in with a pack and such on. And I don't know, I guess I'm gonna try to go in right here and see what happens. Well, and I'm in. It was a lot of work. And you know, I was getting really close to giving up, thinking, you know, it just doesn't go anywhere. It just gets thicker and thicker. And there's you know, thorn bushes everywhere. They're cutting through my pants. I'm stopping, taking out my little folding knife. I'm kind of chopping the small pieces out of the way so I can create a little bit of a path, hoping that I can at least follow it back out again. But I got up a little bit above the rise, or I'm a little ways up the rise now, and things are starting to open up a little bit. It's just really choked all down and through there. I'm really not far above that road. It was just a whole lot of work getting in this far, which is it's a good sign, as long as I don't do the same thing as I did before and, you know, head on down this way a little bit further and find an easier way in. So, you know, I don't know whether this would potentially be a bedding area. I mean, there's a lot of grass, a lot of thick brush to hide in. You know, I don't know whether that's, you know, markings from animals crossing or not, but you know, I'm just now getting into a position where I can start to see trees that may be a viable option. We got one right in front of me. We got one out here that's just off of a little trail, but I don't know. I really don't know what I'm looking at, to be honest with you. So I don't know whether this is a good spot or if I'm just looking for a really secluded place to sit in the woods for a while. This is a tree that I was looking at. See, the issue here is that unless deer come down that same little pathway that I did, I don't see, you know, I just don't see them coming through here. Not unless maybe they get pushed or something, which I suppose is a good strategy to think of, considering, you know, the pressure of public land, but I don't know. I mean, I like how secluded it is. I like that it took a little bit of work to get in here, but at the same time, I'm concerned that it's, you know, kind of too far out of the way, off the beaten path kind of a thing. And just looking around, I'm seeing, you know, some nuts on the ground. There's an oak leaf there, so I mean, I suppose there's a food source around here, but you know, I don't think I would consider this a vast food source or anything really prominent. I'm gonna go back just a little bit further. With any luck, it'll open up a little bit. Just keep your fingers crossed that I'm able to get back out here, because it's pretty thick, and it's gonna be really easy to get turned around with as thick as it is. Not here. I mean, here is easy enough to get through. It's just down a little ways when the brush gets really thick and all those thorn bushes become an issue. So, all right. Well, I went in a little bit further, and it just got thicker. So I'm gonna give up on this one and head back out. See if I can get back out to the trail. Maybe I'll go up a little bit further, get up on the other access road and see what's up there. It just seems too thick back in here. It doesn't really go anywhere. It just gets thicker and more clogged with vegetation. I'm not seeing any trees, any places to go. You know, any trees that are accessible for climbing. And then once you get up there, I just don't see what you'd be shooting at, because I mean, just standing right here, I think I can see maybe 10 yards until it gets kind of bushy, and that's just because I was pushing through. I mean, otherwise we're looking at this. That's my trail back out. At least I hope it is. That's sort of a 360 view of where I'm at. Well, I got turned around a little bit. Didn't really take me too long to get back out. You know, 2-3 minutes at best. You know, on top of what I was expecting, but there was a much easier way in. Back in through there. I think I came in down further, but that's not really important. I'm gonna head back out to the main trail. Maybe head back to my car now. Go get something to drink. Should have grabbed the backpack and brought something to drink in with me. I've been here a little bit longer than I expected. A couple of hours. I have to look at my GPS unit to see just how many miles I covered. But I'd imagine by the time I get back to my car, it's probably gonna be close to 4. But that was the extent of my little hunting venture today, or my scouting venture. Well, I wasn't planning on turning the camera back on, but as I was walking back to my car, you know, I was just kind of second guessing myself. You know, I came across this. I've passed this thing a couple of times now as I come in and out, but this whole area, this side of the power lines is quieter. Looks like there's less activity. I haven't run into anyone down this end. The shotgun sounds is quite a ways off, so I'm wondering if maybe this whole time I'm looking in the wrong area. You know, I'm walking past the better, you know, the better spot overall. But much like that last place I was in, it's really thickened through here. So I don't know whether it's a better idea to hunt an overgrown clearing like this. Down further, there's this set of power lines that run through, and there's the same sort of swath cut through the, you know, the foliage. And I'm wondering if it's not a better idea to, you know, wade in this waist-high grass and try to find a place to set up a tree stand. But, you know, being a first-time hunter, I really have no idea where I need to be. But this whole area has got me kind of curious. Off to my left, the lake is down there, but it's really thickened through here. I did find a trail way back that way yesterday. I pushed down through it, and it popped out on what looks like a waterfowl blind. It's pushed right up against the lake. There's trash and a fire pit and, you know, miscellaneous stuff all in through there. And like a rotted wooden structure, which I think might be what I would imagine is, you know, a spot for waterfowl. And then you've got roads that run back through this way. Again, it's really quiet back here, but it reminds me a lot of the other side of the lake, where you know, I'm not seeing a whole lot of sign in terms of acorns, you know, just general things I've been reading about on the internet that I absolutely have to see in order to feel comfortable with, you know, the thought of a deer population being in the area. So, you know, I don't know, maybe I'll pull up the map and look at it a little bit closer and see if there's any, you know, potential areas I want to check out. I'm getting really close to season. I'm probably not going to have a doe tag in time for opening day of antlerless archery. 5C, I think, starts on 19th, I think. I have to double check, but it's really close, and I really don't think I'm going to have an antlerless tag in time, so I probably have a little bit more time to be scouting around, but at the same time I don't want to be out here, you know, beating through the woods when you've got other guys trying to hunt. You know, I wouldn't want them to do it to me, so I don't want to do it to them. You know, it's just kind of a courtesy thing. So, you know, I'm running really light on time as far as, you know, being able to get in the woods free range without really disturbing anyone. Although I really wasn't expecting all this shotgun noise to be going off either. So obviously people are in the woods hunting. What they're hunting, I really don't know. It sounds like they're shooting a lot. Shots have been ringing out since I got here 2 hours ago, and they're pretty consistent. I really don't think there's a shooting range anywhere close, but that is my little hunting excursion. I need to go maybe grab lunch, grab something. Definitely need to grab something to drink, and put this video together. If you've got any input, I'd really appreciate it. Any advice you can give me if I've overlooked something, if I'm focusing too hard on one aspect that's not correct, I'd love to know about that as well. But thanks for watching. Hope you saw something worthwhile, something that inspires you to respond. Leave some form of advice, or comment something along those lines. But I'm going to get out of here. I think it's roughly 4.5 miles I covered today, over about 2 hours and 20 minutes, 2 hours 15 minutes by the time I get back to my car. So thanks for watching.